just a perennial naughty schoolboy who can't help but cause trouble, or is he actually the Conservatives' knight in shining armour, ready to rescue the party and the country from impending Brexit doom? Joined by Conservative Party campaigner Lewis Feilder and senior researcher, I should say, at think tank Bright Blue, Dr. Jessica Prestige. Thank you both very much indeed for joining us on the Kay Burley Show. How do you think the mood is generally here at conference to start with?
I think it's really positive, actually. This year we've got more than 1,000 young Conservatives for the first time, which I think has added a slightly different mood. I think there's been a really concerted effort to make sure there's a lot of engagement between members and senior members, party members and senior members of the party. So people have had a lot of time to talk about the issues that matter to them and give their opinion. So I think there's been quite a buoyant mood. And I think it's important to remember that this conference is not about Brexit. Of course, there's a lot of conversation about it. It's an important thing for the country at the moment. But actually, most people, we voted 2 years ago. People want it to be concluded now, and they want us to start talking again about the matters that really issue to them. Housing for young people, schools, education, those are the things that really matter to people on the doorstep. And I think we're keen to make sure the focus is on those domestic issues.
I would say something very similar, to be honest. I mean, I've been at a lot of really exciting events. A huge number of really vibrant ideas are being shared, and a sense that people really kind of want to resolve these issues, and they're talking to each other, and not everyone's agreeing, but the commitment is there to finding solutions. So I found it very exciting.
But the spectre at the feast is Boris Johnson, is he not?
I think it's unfortunate that the kind of coverage of the conference has been so dominated by Boris.
But that's what Boris is exactly attempting to achieve and has been successful at it.
I mean, I think that's incredibly unhelpful, but I would say that the conversations that we're having and the ideas that we're generating, the people here, they're going to leave and they're going to be continuing those discussions and doing something practical and helpful. So despite the kind of emphasis on Boris in terms of media coverage, the discussions that are going on are still going to have an impact on what the Conservative Party is able to do and what it's able to deliver.
So is it the media's fault that Boris is the topic of conversation?
Well, I think it's always a very popular thing for the media to focus on, but if you actually look at what we've been talking about in terms of jobs, for example, the jobs miracle that we've seen, that's the kind of thing that we've been talking about a lot at the conference that might not be the big kind of sexy topics that get a lot of media attention, but as we move towards and looking towards the 2022 election, and we're thinking about now what does a manifesto need to look like for that election, and conferences about talking through those ideas, getting members' input from that, those are the things that are really taking up our time that we're thinking about, because people really care about things that improve their lives, that make their lives better, and it's those things, not perhaps what attracts the spotlight.
And a lot of that is on hold until after Brexit, and the arch-Brexiteer is in the form of Boris Johnson. 1,500 delegates snaked past us, waiting for an hour for Boris Johnson to hear what he had to say. So, you know, we can blame the media, but it's what the candidates and what the delegates want to listen to.
I mean, for the Conservative Party to be successful, it needs to appeal beyond the core Conservative membership. So we need to not only think about what people here want, but what people across the country want.
Yeah, and if you look yesterday, Jacob Rees-Mogg did an event as well that was, I think, queues for an hour or so to get in. So Brexit as a whole is a very popular topic, and it's absolutely right that we deliver a proper Brexit that people can believe in and they don't feel that their vote has been betrayed. And I think a lot of members here would agree with that. So all of those kind of events have been sold out, but it shouldn't take away the limelight from the other
big topics. Then that Brexit is the burning issue?
I mean, Brexit is undoubtedly incredibly important. But as we have both said, domestic issues continue to be important and will remain important. They're not mutually exclusive, they're not competing.
But aren't we dictated to, as far as domestic policies and issues are concerned, by what happens next March?
To a certain degree, so I would slightly tweak your wording and say Brexit is an important issue, absolutely. And until next March, it's probably going to be the one that takes up a lot of focus. But you know what's the other topics as well of jobs, of housing for young people. I think if you ask them, that's probably their most important issue. So it's an important issue, but it just feels like sometimes it's the overriding one that takes over everything else, which I'm not sure is true.
What do you want to hear from the Prime Minister?
I mean, clear focus on a domestic agenda that makes life better for ordinary people. She's spoken...
Is that in the form of housing, education, health?
I mean, a collection of all of the above, really. She's spoken passionately about the burning injustices that people are facing. And while we have made progress, there's a lot more to do on that. So I mean, housing, obviously, in terms of expanding the Conservative Party support, growing our support among young people.
Does that mean some of that more people are homeless now than when she made that speech on the steps of Number 10? Would you be surprised at that?
I appreciate that homelessness is a social evil. It's completely unacceptable that in a society as rich, as wealthy as ours is, that there are people sleeping rough. The government has demonstrated its commitment to resolving that. A very comprehensive plan, huge amount of investment. Granted, there is a lot more to do, but there is no silver bullet. What it takes is a concerted effort, and in my view, the government has demonstrated its commitment to tackling this.
By any measure, the Prime Minister is running out of time. Not least because of Brexit, but also because, you know, the clock is ticking on her tenure. What do you want to hear from her tomorrow?
I'd like to hear a really positive vision from the Prime Minister of something that people can really believe in. A vision, I think, that cuts through a lot of the noise at the moment and reaches a really broad audience. Because actually, when you talk to people across the country, they generally all want the same thing. They want to be safe and secure. They want to have a good job. They want their children to have access to good healthcare and education. And that's the same in all parts of society. So I think a really inclusive message. I really don't believe we want to go down the sort of identity politics and the divisiveness that we've seen last week from the Labour Party conference. If you even think of their party slogan, which is a country that works for the many and not the few, I'd like to really understand who are the few they want to exclude. We're talking about something that works for the country as a whole and for everyone. So I want to hear a really inclusive vision from the Prime Minister.
We'll be hearing from the Prime Minister tomorrow. For now, thank you both very much indeed for joining us on the Kay Burley Show. Coming up in just a few moments' time, continuing coverage from the Conservative Party conference here in Birmingham. Prime Minister's speech tomorrow, Boris Johnson's speech today. Let us know your thoughts. You can tweet me directly if you would like to, at Kay Burley. See you in a sec.